Good evening and thank you very much for joining us on Rwanda Television. We do hope you had yourselves a productive day, and now here's a sneak peek of our edition tonight. President Paul Kagame has urged newly appointed officials to put national interests above personal considerations and draw inspiration from the sacrifice and dedication that characterize Rwanda's liberation struggle. The Senate President, Dr. François Karinda Xavier, has announced that the government of Rwanda will give special attention to autism, ensuring that affected individuals receive appropriate support through both the education and healthcare systems. The Minister of Local Government, Dominique Habimana, has called on local government leaders to understand that the kind of leader people want is one who is committed to solving the problems affecting those they serve. And on the international scene, Donald Trump has thanked China's Xi Jinping and Russia's Vladimir Putin for being neutral on Iran during his presser at the conclusion of the G7 in Avion-les-Bains. We're glad to have you here on Rwanda Television News. My name is Enora Gladys Abatoni. Now straight to the news in details. On Wednesday afternoon at Village Urugwiro, President Paul Kagame received Honorable Ambassador Stephen Mbundi, Secretary General of the East African Community, appointed to the position in March. Ambassador Mbundi is a seasoned Tanzanian diplomat with over 28 years of professional experience in diplomacy, international cooperation and regional affairs. Their discussions focused on Rwanda's continued commitment to regional integration. On Monday, Rwanda launched nationwide consultations to gather citizens' views on a proposed constitution that could eventually guide the political integration of member states of the East African Community. The exercise is part of ongoing efforts to advance the long-standing vision of an East African political confederation. Now, moving on with more news ahead, President Paul Kagame has urged newly appointed officials to put national interests above personal considerations and draw inspiration from the sacrifice and dedication that characterize Rwanda's liberation struggle. The call came as several senior government and public institution officials took their oath of office at Village Urugwiro. William Evans Mutabazi kicks off tonight.
The officials sworn in before President Paul Kagame included the Minister of Infrastructure, Demiem Rwanashyaka, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Antoine Marie Kajangwe, and the Ministers of State in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Arumazi Njiro and Colonel Kodie Bizmungu. Others were Judith Mbabazi, Deputy Ombudsperson in charge of preventing and fighting injustice, Deputy Secretary General of the National Intelligence and Security Service, and CP Theos Badeje, Deputy Commissioner General of Rwanda Correctional Services. Addressing officials, President Paul Kagame reminded them that the appointment represents a commitment to serve Rwandans and deliver tangible results.
Mugejeje indahiro sikuri twe gusa twicaye hano ni ku gihugu cyose.
The oath you've just took was not just to us within this room, but to the entire country as Rwandans. It is therefore important that you fully understand the weight of your oath. This is not the first time we hold swearing ceremonies. There are some who finish their duties well and some who fail to deliver as required. That is why I particularly wish to remind you of the weight of this oath, which goes hand in hand with how much we have to do for our country. And by doing the right things for our country, we are indirectly doing them for ourselves. The President also called on them to draw lessons from Rwanda's liberation history, emphasizing that those who fought to liberate the country made extraordinary sacrifices without pursuing personal gains. Unlike going to war, this doesn't require you to sacrifice your life. When you go to war, there is a possibility to not make it back home. But here, you very well know what you have to do and you do it knowing well that by all means you'll make it home alive. Why should people forget that history? Yet, instead, that very history should have been our guide in our everyday responsibilities. When you face challenges at work, there are ways to solve them if you want to. Collaboration with others, be it those you lead or other institutions, and we shouldn't be stuck with problems, and even those that fail us, we can always put them on the side as we find ways and means to come back and solve them. But all of this works perfectly well when people understand the scope of their responsibility. He further stressed that public office comes with accountability, noting that leadership is not permanent and that only those who fulfill their responsibilities effectively will remain in office. He added that good performance ultimately benefits both citizens and the leaders themselves.
Kuba umuyobozi muri izi nzego za leta mbere na mbere ni ugukorera abaturage.
Being leaders is firstly about working for the people and striving for their welfare and well-being. Each one of you has been put in those positions because you have the ability within you or abilities that people identified in you in your former positions. When you think about the fact that you, among many Rwandans, who can potentially do the very work you are going to do, this may help you deliver tangible results. Bad leadership brings a lot of negative consequences, and usually citizens suffer those consequences first. Changes like these should occur quite often. People might be wondering, saying the reshuffles have happened early. They should instead ask for the reasons as to why. While some of the officials sworn in were recently appointed during this month's cabinet changes, others had been appointed to leadership positions at different times. Authorities say the appointments are part of the ongoing efforts to strengthen public institutions and improve service delivery across different sectors.
On Wednesday, a handover ceremony was held at the Ministry of Infrastructure, during which Jimmy Gasore officially handed over responsibilities to Minister Damien Murwanashyaka. The event also included a handover of duties between Jean de Dieu Uwihanganye and the incoming ministry's new state minister, Armand Zingiro, and Colonel Claudien Bizimungu. During the ceremony, Minister Murwanashyaka called on leaders of the institutions affiliated with the Ministry of Infrastructure to maintain strong and productive collaboration in order to achieve the national development goals set by the country.
What this means in general is that we should work together. I have just joined the cabinet, but I learn quickly and I will not disappoint you. The one thing I ask from all of you, especially the senior management team, is your cooperation and support. We now have 2 state ministers, which I believe reflects both the direction we are taking and the opportunities ahead of us, as it brings additional capacity and energy to our work. I'm sure you understand the level of performance and speed that is expected of us. You have already been doing a good job, so let us strive to do even better. Let us achieve our goals by working together.
Now, moving on with more news ahead, the Senate President Dr. François-Xavier Karinda has announced that the government of Rwanda will give special attention to autism, ensuring that affected individuals receive appropriate support through both the education and healthcare systems. He made these remarks during a consultative meeting aimed at exploring measures to curb the growing number of autism cases and improve support for people living with the condition. We do have the details.
The meeting brought together senators, representatives from various government institutions, and health experts. Participants also heard testimony from Fred Rugamba, a parent, raising a child with autism.
ibintu bya autism cyangwa se ibi bibazo ntago ari ibyo twari twiteze.
Autism was not something we expected. We started noticing signs when our child was about 9 months old. He had already started walking, which impressed us because many children begin walking at around 1 year or later. However, by the time he was 1.5 years old, we realized he did not respond when we called. As doctors explained, he should. At the same time, he showed a remarkable interest in technology. Even now, he can use a phone at a level that surpasses many adults, including his own parents.
The chairperson of the Committee on Social Affairs and Human Rights at the Rwandan Senate, Honorable Adri Umuhire, noted that autism is increasingly common across communities, but many families still lack adequate awareness about the condition. Some parents assume the condition is caused by evil spirits or other traditional beliefs rather than recognizing it as a medical condition. As a result, instead of taking the child to a health facility for diagnosis and treatment, they often seek traditional remedies. Consequently, many families fail to realize that the child needs specialized medical care. The growing impact of autism is also reflected in the number of patients seeking medical services. According to Dr. Darius Gishoma, head of the Mental Health Division at the Rwanda Biomedical Center.
Muri 24 hakiriwe abantu bari hafi ya 800 ibitaro byose baje kwa muganga kubera ko baje.
Looking at data from the past 2 years, district hospitals received nearly 800 people in 2024 who sought services related to autism, either for diagnosis or treatment of conditions associated with autism. In 2025, the number rose to slightly over 1,000. This increase may partly be attributed to awareness campaigns and interventions by various stakeholders. The number of people seeking autism-related services at district hospitals also increased from 400 in 2024 to nearly 550 in 2025. Although access to care remains a challenge, more people are now coming forward to seek medical assistance.
Responding to concerns about access to education for children with autism, Minister of Education Joseph Nsengimana stated the government is working to strengthen specialized education services.
Under NST2, we plan to establish a specialized school in each province. These schools will serve as centers of excellence and provide inclusive education, while specifically catering for children with autism and other disabilities that may prevent them from learning effectively in mainstream classrooms.
Senate President Dr. François-Xavier Karinda stressed that autism is a significant national concern requiring sustained government attention.
Autism is indeed a serious issue for the country. Based on the discussions held here today, its magnitude has become even clearer. Our engagement does not end with this meeting. We will continue to monitor ongoing efforts, discuss the issues further, provide recommendations, and oversee the responsible government institutions to ensure that appropriate measures are being implemented while continuing to offer guidance where necessary.
Research shows that boys are more likely to develop autism spectrum disorders than girls, making early diagnosis, awareness, and access to specialized services critical to affected families.
The Minister of Local Government, Dominica Habimana, has called on local government leaders to understand that the kind of leader people want is one who is committed to solving the problems affecting those they serve. He made his remarks as the current term of local government leaders approaches its end, with citizens calling for their successors to place a greater emphasis on the infrastructure that enables access to essential services. Roads such as the one at Nyabyondo in Kanyinya Kinyinya sector, Nyarugenge district, which connects to Rulindo district in the northern province, and the road from Kamuhanda to Remera-Rukoma Hospital in Kamonyi district in the southern province are among the infrastructure projects that residents in those areas want future leaders to improve. The mayor of Kamonyi district, Dr. Silver Nahayo, stated that significant development projects have been completed during the outgoing term, while noting that some planned initiatives could not be implemented because of the budget constraints. The Minister of Local Government, Dominic Habimana, noted that a good leader is one who prioritizes the interests of citizens, and that such leaders are the ones voters should choose in the elections scheduled for this year. The National Electoral Commission recently announced that local government elections are scheduled to take place in 2026, beginning at the village level and continuing through the election of district council members. These council members will in turn elect the members of the district executive committee, including the mayor and the 2 deputy mayors. Now moving on with more news ahead, Rwanda's Ministry of Youth and Arts has urged younger innovators to focus on developing technology-driven solutions that address real challenges within society. The call was made during an awards ceremony recognizing outstanding youth-led innovations under the Connecting Youth Talent with Opportunity program. We do have the details.
Showcased a range of technology-based projects, including solutions designed to improve agriculture and livestock farming, as well as innovations aimed at enhancing security and addressing other societal challenges. The projects demonstrated how technology can be leveraged to provide practical and sustainable solutions to issues affecting communities. Violet Wamutara, Country Director of Digital Opportunity Trust Rwanda and Vice President of Sub-Saharan Africa, say the organization will continue supporting young people, particularly young women, by equipping them with the skills and confidence needed to pursue careers and entrepreneurship in technology.
Our vision is beyond just preparing youth for jobs. We are investing in the next generation of innovators, entrepreneurs, and digital leaders. When you look around the room, it's very exciting. We have more than 70% young women. Inclusion is a part of the DSE's DNA. We're very intentional. We're targeting 80% young women. We're targeting people with disabilities, refugees, and displaced youth, and 70% from the rural areas. So how do we get this 80%?
Minister of Youth and Arts, Dr. Jean-Nepo Abdallah Utumatwishima, encouraged young people to remain focused on creating innovations that respond to societal needs rather than pursuing technology for its own sake.
Then when you have a good idea, you get a chance and opportunity to get a seed funding to develop your idea. We have to thank our government that allows the non-profit organizations to do this. We need also solutions in the creative industry. And a lot of jobs are being created in the creative space, in the creative industry. So we want also solutions there because it is a market, and we were looking for a rigging engineer. We don't have a rigging engineer in Rwanda, not a single one. So I want to tell you that we have new skills and even future skills. We need solutions with technology.
Winners of the competition received cash prizes ranging from 2.5 million Rwandan francs to 7.5 million Rwandan francs in recognition of the innovative technology projects. The awards were presented by Digital Opportunity Trust Rwanda and its partners, including MasterCard Foundation, as part of the ongoing efforts to support youth innovation, entrepreneurship, and digital skills development in Rwanda.
And now this totally brings us to the end of today's English News Bulletin. On behalf of the whole technical team, thank you so much for watching. To stay with Rwanda Television, have a good night and stay safe.